Hi everyone, thanks for being out here today, joining us for this TEDx conference. So this is you, and this, would work, is your friend. And you know, you talk to your friends, right? But wait, hold on, this isn't the olden days when you actually talk to your friends. No. We live in the modern age, so if you want to talk to your friends, you have to be able to use Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and iMessage. You know, the entire world is connected, right? Like everyone is constantly facing like a stream of notifications from all of these social media apps. And having a 16-year-old brother, I know that that's how all the high school students here communicate with each other. But this extends beyond just your high school. In fact, the entire world is connected by this technology, and we've got messages that are flying from different places all the time. And this is happening at a tremendous scale. Like, it's on the order of billions of Instagram likes daily, and over 2 billion monthly active users on Facebook, and 10 billion people who use Snapchat every day. But let's just take a step back and think about how this actually happens. So if you're sitting right here, you're sending a Snapchat to your buddy who's on the other side of the room, how is it that your picture ends up on somebody else's phone? Or if you're trying to Google some obscure homework question, how is it that it ends up on your computer screen? Like, where is that information coming from? And it's also pretty cool that people who aren't next to you can all change your Instagram feed from different places in the world. So really the question is, why would this system even work? On a surface level, I feel like most of us understand how to actually use these applications. But today, I want you to dip your toes into the water and take a peek at how it actually works. So first, let's break it down. So really, all of the messages that are being sent are all different types of data. Like whether it's text or images or video that you're streaming, it's all different forms of messages, and they have to figure out where they need to go, how to get there, and what needs to happen with that data when it arrives. So let's start with the first question. When you send a message, how is that data traveling and know where to go? So, for instance, if you have to send a mail to your friend, how do you know where to send it? Well, all houses have addresses. So when you send a message, you can send that mail to a specific address. In the exact same way, there's also this notion of an internet address. Sorry, one second. So this is called IP, the Internet Protocol, and it is just like your actual address. Every device that you have that is connected to the internet effectively has its own internet address. And you can actually find where you live on the internet. In fact, if you have a computer, you can actually put in that command, and it'll spit out this number that has the four numbers that are dot separated. That is where you live on the internet. So if you are trying to communicate with Facebook or Google or Microsoft or any other website that you are trying to reach, it's just a matter of figuring out where your friends live. So you can think about the internet as kind of like a giant neighborhood, where every house is like a different IP address, and that IP address is where your messages are going. So, but you don't know where, you don't usually put in that 4-number address. In fact, you usually just type in google.com, or you open an app that uses the internet. So at that point, this idea of a domain name service is what determines where that message needs to go. And so really the internet is this really, really big neighborhood. So that now that we know where to go, it's a matter of figuring out how we actually get there. So that's where this idea of a transmission control protocol, or TCP, comes in. So TCP is basically how that information is actually routed to the correct application and to the correct destination. So if you're trying to send a certain amount of data, that data travels across the internet in the form of various packets. So if you're trying to send a picture, that picture is broken up into small pieces, and then sent over a network from one address to another. So yeah, all of those network packets are basically traveling from one address to another. So if we want to actually demo this, let's actually try ping google.com. So we know that google.com lives at a specific IP address. So if you just type in a command like ping like 10 data packets from google.com, you can actually receive that information by talking to that specific address. So this is like an example of information actually traveling and being able to receive it. And all of these messages must be transmitted over whichever wires connect your computer to the internet. So this is something that was really interesting to me, and something that I didn't realize for a while, is that the internet is often portrayed as like this very abstract thing, but actually it's actually a series of like wires that are like under the ground. So if you look right here, this picture is very cool. It's basically a map of all of the undersea cables that are connecting all the places. And TCP and IP, these two ideas together are basically like the underlying like communication language like of the internet. So now that the data has actually gotten to the correct IP address, then what happens? At that point, it usually hits a data center. So if you're trying to talk to Facebook, like that information is going to a Facebook data center. And data centers are these massive buildings where all of the actual processing of your data is happening. So if you want to like refresh your Instagram feed, that request comes to a data center that looks kind of like this, and there it actually retrieves all of the information that you're looking for. And in fact, these are really big operations. Like some of these data centers can use as much electricity as like a small town. And this is kind of a picture of what they look like from the outside. They're usually like really big, like gray buildings, and there are around like 10, 15 data centers for like all major tech companies, and they're located in different areas around the world. So most people can get very fast access because they're hitting data centers that are geographically close to where they are. And as an example of how much data these are able to actually process at once, Facebook usually is handling like 2.4 billion pieces of content a day, and that's around 750 like terabytes of data daily. So this is some really like big, high-scale computation that's happening. So really what I kind of wanted to give you a glimpse of today was like the technical infrastructure enables us to like reach a world beyond, and that happens in more ways than one. Like on one hand, like this type of technology allows us to reach out to people that are on other sides of the world, but also when you like come to actually appreciate and understand how it works, you see that it itself is a world beyond. And I think that's what's been the most like valuable and rewarding thing about working in this space. And so I was just hoping that the next time you try to send a message that you can see what is kind of going on in the background and maybe come to appreciate that a little bit. So thank you.